What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. So yesterday I did end up doing my first impressions and my initial review of the new update here in Need for Speed Unbound. Now, I do admit right now I'm not the biggest fan of the entire PvP playlist part of it, but I also do feel like once time goes on, maybe they will implement a few things in it to make it a bit more fun for the racer part of it compared to like being a cop, which we all do know it is heavily going to be focused on the police. Now, what made me laugh about this is right after I played this, guys, you know what I did? I went right back on Hot Pursuit Remastered, and you know what? My goodness, that game is legit still the GOAT, hence is why I actually did the title on that, because I really loved Hot Pursuit. And you most likely saw the other part of that title that did also say that it is the GOAT, or at least it still is the GOAT, compared to the Unbound update. We all do know the entire Unbound update was based on Hot Pursuit, because that game was so dang popular back then they even made a remaster for it. Funny thing is, guys, that was actually one of my first Need for Speed games on the PlayStation 3 back then. Besides Need for Speed Pro Street and stuff, I loved Hot Pursuit, man. It was a great game. Don't get me wrong, I do know it had issues, like players weren't the biggest fan of like no campaign and stuff, but the overall racing gameplay on there was so dang intense, and it just had a big fun factor to it. So they probably wanted to bring something like the police and the weapon type of thing, similar to something like Need for Speed Rivals, into Unbound. The biggest thing I have to ask though is, did it actually work? Do you guys actually like the overall gameplay of the new update in Unbound? Like, is it going to truly live up to something like Hot Pursuit? To be honest, I did want to dive into this a bit deeper and give you guys my honest thoughts on what I think. The first thing I have to say though is they really should have gave the racers weapons in Unbound. Now I do know players are going to be like, bro, we can't have all the racers popping out spike strips and using like an electromagnetic field or an EMP pulse or something, but look, I feel like it probably would have made sense. At the moment, as I did mention earlier, the entire cop racing to, actual racer, it is going to be heavily focused on police, bro. Like, let's be real. It is. I mean, if you are going to be a cop, you're most likely going to win most of them, around maybe 85 to 90%. Like, yeah, you'll have a racer that would win, but once you actually level up and go through the main cop career, you are going to have better pursuit tech and better vehicles. And don't forget, on top of that though, you also get unlimited nitrous. Funny thing is, I did not even notice this at first. When I was hitting my nitrous button, I went, wait a second. You can actually hold this down. Yes, guys, you can legit hold it down the entire time in maxed out gear, like even like going through your gears if you're in manual. You can hold down your nitrous button forever. Do the racers get that? No, you actually have nitrous and you have to get it back up, which immediately makes all the police cars faster. Like, I get it, and it does actually make sense in a way that yes, the police are going to have more nitrous because they are the ones chasing you, but the thing is, why unlimited nitrous, man? Like, that is a bit ridiculous, I have to admit it. Even on Hot Pursuit back then, you did not have unlimited nitrous. Yes, you probably could get your nitrous back a tad faster than a racer, but it's going to go down so dang quick that you then have to get more of it. That way you're not going to be insanely overpowered toward the actual racers. I mean, a lot of players are most likely not going to enjoy the overall PvP playlist because of a lot of these reasons. The funny thing is, once you actually get the upgraded police cars, guys, I feel like it's going to be a nightmare. I did mention in that previous video yesterday with the impressions and the review I did on it, that my goodness, that Porsche police car is absolutely insane. It almost looks like a Carrera, by the way. That car is crazy. I had a few races where someone was using it, and my goodness, there is no way I was actually getting away from it, no matter what I actually used. So I would say that's probably going to be an issue in the initial aspect of, yes, the police cars have to be, a higher level, that way they are faster, and they can't keep up with you, but if they're going to be that fast, they have unlimited nitrous and weapons, what are you actually going to do as a racer? You are basically doomed, bruh. You're basically moosed. I mean, I don't know how else to say that. You basically are. Okay, but besides that, though, as I did mention earlier, I did end up jumping back onto Hot Pursuit right after Unbound. Funny thing is, guys, I don't know what it is, but the Hot Pursuit gameplay is so dang iconic. Basically, pick a car of your choice in a few different categories and jump in there and have a great time. The biggest difference on Hot Pursuit, though, is the fact that you actually have weapons on your vehicle as a racer, again similar to Rivals, that you can actually use against the other cops. You had something like a jammer on there, turbo, spike strip, and stuff like that, even an EMP, and that way you can actually fight against the cops and win that race. Now, don't get me wrong, I do know on Unbound, if you actually could use like an EMP and a spike strip, and you had something like a turbo, that would probably be a tad broken. But why not give the racers at least one weapon to counteract it? For example, a jammer. That way, like someone uses a spike strip, you hit that jammer, maybe the spikes on that said spike strip are gone or something like that. Like if you're getting locked on by an EMP as a racer on Unbound, you legit can't do anything, bro. You're basically a sitting duck. Whereas something like on Hot Pursuit, you can then hit a jammer and boom, it destroys the communications with the police and all that for like a few seconds. And then at least in that aspect though, the racers are going to have some type of advantage against the police. Whereas I feel like in Unbound, it's going to be extremely one-sided. Like I do understand the whole point of that was to probably give the police stuff like that. That way they can go against the racers. But bro, if you actually have those weapons, you have all that speed, shouldn't you have some type of like counteractive thing that you can use against the said weapons, or something that the police actually have that make them so dang fast, or at least the weapons they are using on you? It's just something I was thinking about, man. Like jumping back on a Hot Pursuit, I'm like, yo, this is incredibly balanced on one side though, and also the other side is going to be balanced as well. Like if you're a racer or a cop, both sides are going to have advantages and disadvantages. And that for me though is probably like one of the biggest things after playing Hot Pursuit, then going back onto Unbound. You're probably going to notice that yes, the cops are going to have a huge advantage, whereas the racers are basically going to be fighting for their life. If you actually do that on Unbound, guys, go back onto Hot Pursuit, play as a racer and then a cop. I did notice not either one of those sides feel overpowered, man. You can basically have fun with it, and also each side is going to be powerful enough to whereas the other side can also counteract certain things that one side has. Like for example, the police have a roadblocker like a helicopter. Those are probably going to come in handy, but then you can also use something like as a racer, you can use a jammer, you can throw like a spike strip behind a police racer or something like that and knock them. Whereas on something on Unbound, if they actually call in a helicopter a roadblock, what are you going to do, man? Basically crash through it, find a way around it. Then the police are actually going to redeploy. They're then in front of you again, and they can actually come at you, hit you, and all kinds of stuff. Like, I do understand the way they did it, but after playing Hot Pursuit, it's just hard not to think about this. Now, I also do want to clarify a couple of things here, though. I'm not saying I absolutely hate the Volume 8 update, because I actually am having a great time on it. Funny thing is, at the moment, I'm having a way better time being a cop than a racer, which is probably not that surprising, and actually going through the entire cop career. It would have actually been kind of dope if they had a racer career to where you can level things up there, and most likely unlock different cars that can be used like special editions that we might have saw in Hot Pursuit, and then have a couple of Pursuit Tech things you can get. That would have been dope. But I would say a lot of players at this point, including myself, are most likely going to have a better time being a cop because of the Pursuit Tech and the cars you actually get, and the entire design dynamics of the entire thing. Again, guys, I don't hate being a racer, but I just feel like it's kind of a chore at this point, and I really do think a lot of players might not actually like it. Do let me know what you guys think about this in the comments below. We can all agree right now that Need for Speed Hot Pursuit 2010 Remastered, or at least even 2010 the old one, is still going to be the GOAT. Every time I jump back onto that game, I have such a great time playing it, using different classes, being a cop or being a racer, and basically just having so much fun in there. Even the Interceptor ones back then, guys, I kind of forgot about those, where you can actually be a cop and go after the racer. They do have a bit more of health and stuff. They can actually turn around, take some weird turns, and actually go different directions, and then you have to bust them in a certain amount of time. That was so dope. Imagine having an Interceptor type of game mode in Need for Speed Unbound, bro. That would be so dope. My goodness, it would be so much fun. Again, though, the thing is, if you are a racer and you're going against a cop, I do feel like the racer has to have some type of countermeasure to go against what the cops actually have. I just feel like that makes sense, and I really do feel like Hot Pursuit just did it so dang well. Is also probably why that game actually got a remaster. But again, guys, let me know your thoughts on this in the comments below. Are you still a huge fan of Hot Pursuit? Do you still prefer that over the new Volume 8 update? Now, I also do want to clarify this as well. I'm not saying the entire update is taking over Hot Pursuit, but it is indeed paying tribute to one of the best Need for Speed games we have ever had.